Super mind stretchers. It's got a charm to it.
I'm not like team. I love a cup of tea. I'm not tea mad, but I tell you what, I am mad for the cup of tea that I have here.
It's the only time I have it. Only time I have tea.
For some reason,
it's just on these records.
It suits the vibe and my mood.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Well, particularly tonight on a rainy, wet night. You've been brave in the weather today.
Well, I'm pretty brave.
You are pretty brave.
I've always said that about myself.
You are very
sometimes
brave.
I get a little shy and don't say it about myself, but other times I do say it.
But that is braveness. That's what I teach my son. I said, is being brave. Do you think being brave means not being scared, or do you think being brave means being scared and doing it anyway?
Do you know what?
And he says, yeah, but Dad, so is the stegosaurus? I said, no, hang on, listen to what I was saying first. What was I saying? He's like, yeah. I said, did you listen to what I said? He goes, yes. I said, what did I say? He goes, oh, I don't know.
That is funny that you should say that because one thing that I did want to bring up was how much Portal I've been playing recently. I'd never played Portal because I've never had a PC or a console that was of the time.
You were an Xbox guy.
I had an Xbox.
I think, and that was a PlayStation
when it came out.
title, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I had the original Xbox, but Portal didn't come out until like 2007, which is by that time my Xbox had already sort of like run its course, I think, because I think the power supply got a little fried. Which was a thing that happened to a couple of different people's Xboxes.
Yeah, I think that was a famous thing, wasn't it? Were you a modder? Were you like
I didn't get around to that. I would have. I think I would have got around. In fact, I think I did end up lending, quote unquote, lending. I kind of giving or just leaving with someone my Xbox to a friend of my brother's who was a bit of a mod, genius, and I think he might still have it, and I think he has modded it, and I think it is running.
Get it? Let's go get it. Let's go get it. We're on the move.
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked about this. So because you're a pretty handy guy, and you're a tinkerer. You do a bit of wood stuff, a bit of metal stuff. I think a bit of sewing stuff, material stuff. Did you
the old master of none sort of thing?
Well, but you're pretty handy with most of this stuff, so I don't know about that. But is it? Were you are you handy with a soldering iron? Are you a solderer or a?
Other than high school, I never really. I should have kept it up, and I would love to relearn everything about electronics that's fallen out of my brain. But I've also got like friends like you and like Ferg who I kind of consult with a lot of that sort of stuff.
It's a different world now. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to get back into it again now. No. I kind of got out just when I was I got into analog electronics. So I was a Dick Smith Electronics kid. Yeah. Even before I worked there. That was my first job when I was like 14
I remember
years
visiting
old.
you there.
Yeah, back when it was real Dick Smith, not sort of a knockoff Harvey Norman Dick Smith or whatever it is now. But no, we had like the full catalog, the big thick catalog that was like a Yellow Pages kind of thing. It was a few hundred pages long, and you'd have to, if you worked there, you'd pride yourself on trying to memorize all the different 4-digit codes. So the Z section, Z and then 4 digits, that was all the components. So Z9518 would be probably an integrated circuit or something like that.
I saw a YouTube piece on JCar and how JCar have survived in the area that sort of Dick Smith sort of moved away from. Yeah, and didn't the guy who started JCar, like, I think he worked with Dick Smith?
I think so. I don't know a huge amount about the origins of them. JCar's great.
And I think he saw what was becoming of Dick Smith, and he was just like, but the hobby part of it, the components and the thing, he goes, I still think there's a market for that, and JCar is still just like going strong, you know? And the catalog that was like people would get these phone books of a catalog and just get really excited when it came in the mail.
People were so pumped about the new catalog when it would come out of Dick Smith. Dickies got bought by Woolworths, I reckon, around the time, or maybe just before I started working there years and years ago. So that was, I'm guessing, was probably part of its slide down into, got to be profitable, got to be part of the machine, and there's probably not a great profit in selling individual resistors. You could buy an individual resistor for 4 cents if you just needed a 100 ohm resistor. But I liked the Dick Smith Electronics kits. That was the blue cheese board sort of thing that you screw little Phillips head screws into.
Yeah, what was the one that I wanted to get?
And it had these little paper overlays that had the circuit diagram, and you could lay them out. And then if you got real fancy, you could get the springs. So instead of using screws and washers, they brought out springs, and you could lift the springs apart, pull the springs apart, and stick the legs of the components into the springs.
Yeah.
So they conducted, but you didn't have to constantly be tightening screws that would yank the legs out of a transistor, like pulling the legs off an ant. Is the best comparison.
There was a kit that I wanted to get. It was like a radio jammer or something.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. I think it was like...
So that when you were doing your heists, then the cops were coming and you could jam their CB radios and they wouldn't be able to call in for backup.
Yeah, I think there was something like that.
Radios were wild, man.
Yeah.
I remember making a crystal set with a friend of mine and getting blown away by the fact that there was no power to it. So crystal set, you have a little Zener diode, and as long as you've got a good antenna and a good earth connection, and this is talking about going back. Well, our sister podcast, the Hammer Barn Project, you would have talked about. It was the 80s.
And the 80s.
It feels like there's a lot of that when we talked about the things that we used to do when we were growing up, even into the 90s. But going to my friend's house, going to Luke Tilsley's house up in the Adelaide Hills and making a crystal set and trying to figure out where we could earth it, and trying to earth it to the fence at first, but that didn't work. And then going, well, the bottom pin on the power points are in earth, so you're like sticking the wires into the power points. Being like, and then it worked perfect. It worked great. It was such a good little kit. And you could tune into AM radio with no power.
Try it on your friends.
Oh man, we used to make bows and arrows, and he had a pocket knife. I didn't have a pocket knife, so he had a pocket knife. We'd go down to the dam and catch yabbies and strip branches off the yew trees and make bows and arrows.
Back when it was sort of like, all right, go outside, come back at dinner time.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the reason I bring up the Portal is because they're like, there's a poster on the wall. I didn't realize, like, I feel silly talking about this brand new game I've been playing, Portal, which has been out for nearly 20 years.
Classic.
People have been people have been telling me from day dot that I should play it, and I knew that from what I knew about it, I'm like, this is something that I would really, really love, and it's everything that I hoped it would be. But it was they just brought it out on like Switch 2, and I got one of those recently, and so I'm like, oh, Portal, and the bundle of Portal 1 and 2 was like $30. So I've been like, I'm having Portal dreams at the moment. I've been playing it so much, but there's a poster on the wall. I didn't realize it would be so funny, but there was a poster on the wall that said...
there's a lot of comedy in it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Stephen Merchant's the voice?
Oh,
is that
in
right?
2,
in
I
the
think.
second one.
Yeah, I think. I haven't got that far yet. I've clocked 1, and I'm doing some of the advanced levels. I'm really stuck on 1. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to...
And for listeners who might not be aware, it's a game where you have to shoot portals from a portal gun and then jump through portals and use teleportation to solve puzzles and things like that.
So it feels a bit funny, like nerding out and loving it when it's like older than some of my friends. But
Portal's still a new game in my head.
Yeah, you're right.
It's still of the era where I was already not gaming anymore, and so I was learning about games from other people or watching YouTube clips of people playing games, which is how I consume most games these days.
Yes, me too. Actually, I stumble upon a lot of YouTube clips of people playing them. But there was a poster on the wall at one point. all the promotional stuff of the actual Aperture Science organization is all really funny and dystopian. And one is like, fear is not the absence of courage is not the absence of fear. It says that on a poster, and I remember that being, it's not the absence of fear, it's like being scared but doing it anyway or something like that. But it just like it made me think of when you said that about your son. And and it clocked, and I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to mention Portal because of how much I've been playing it. But it's driving me crazy trying to remember what that specific kit that one of my friends got from Dick Smith, and I really wanted to get it.
There were 2 kits that you could get, classic kits, and there was the Dick Smith 1 through 10 and then 11 through 20. And the 1 through 10 kit, you'd have and they as they went up, as the numbers went up, they got more complicated, and you'd learn a new idea about analog electronics. So the very, very first one was just essentially a closed circuit with an LED and maybe a switch or something like that. So it was just showing, okay, we're going to have the positive and the negative terminals of a 9-volt battery, and you're going to have a diode. We're going to have an LED, and the diode is polarized. You're going to have to have it around the right way. If you attach it to the wrong legs, it won't light up, but if you attach it around the right way, it will. And then it kind of would move up and up and up from there. So there was always the hokiest kind of idea of what it was for. I think one was a water detector. It was something like to tell if you've overwatered your plants or something like that, because essentially it was just a closed circuit of, instead of a switch to turn the light on, it was 2 wires going into water. So it was showing you that water can conduct electricity.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you put these 2 wires into the pot plant, and then when the water levels, when there's enough water in there, it'll light up, and when there's not enough, it won't light up.
How good.
And then by the time you got into the 11 through 20, that's where all the radio stuff was. And the radio stuff, I remember being much more complicated for a kid like me to get my head around. So trying to think about amplitude modulation, and then at what point you had to boost the signal. So you've got your antenna and there's a signal, but it's a very weak signal. So you're taking that signal and running it through this analog amplifier, and then the amplifier is going to increase the amplitude of the signal. But then I don't even think you could do an FM. No, you wouldn't have been able to do an FM receiver in that kit, I don't think. But you could have an AM radio that was only powerful enough to listen through the crystal earpiece, but then you could have one that had an amplifier so it could play it through an actual little cone speaker. What was the most complicated? I can't remember what kit 20 was. But the idea that you could reuse the parts and pull it apart.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got to high school, we had those more sophisticated ones with the white or off-white cheese boards that you'd poke the wire straight into, and it just had a little grip inside.
I remember
they were pretty clever. They were pretty cool. And then there was the kit that was not a Dick Smith one, but it looked like an old school. It looked like what you'd imagine being like a chunk or a panel on Mission Control at Houston for Apollo or something like that. It was kind of a tilted, but it was cardboard. But it had all the components were essentially screwed in or stuck into the tilted cardboard piece, and then all you were doing, and they were all numbered. So instead of having the circuit board overlay like the Dick Smith kits were, because I think the Dick Smith kits were meant to be more education. It was meant to teach you these things. But there was another kind of kit that you could get that I always thought was cooler. But in retrospect, I realized it wasn't really doing, like, it wasn't doing the job of teaching you electronics, but it just looked cooler because it had more components already sitting on there, more dials and buttons. But then every terminal for every component was numbered. So you'd have the numbers 1 through 200, and they'd all align to a point like a spring on this thing. And then all your kits or your projects were just pairings of numbers.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so it came with a bunch of pre-cut copper wires, and so the green wires were like 2 centimeters, and the red wires were 5 centimeters, and the blue wires were 10 centimeters. So then the instructions to build something were essentially connect 1 to 7 with a red wire, connect 7 to 12 with a blue wire, and you just go through and find the numbers and connect the wires, and lo and behold, you'd end up with this circuit, and you could just keep reusing the same components again and again.
How good.
But I had to tap out when it sort of shifted. By the time I was a teenager and I was working at Dick Smith's, then it was that thing of, we've talked about this before, I was the only one I knew that did electronics out of anyone I knew. So people were like, wow, you can make gadgets out of electronics. I used to, Kate teases me about this as well. I used to, oh no, she doesn't tease. She's very impressed by this, but it's a funny thing to think of a kid doing. Is like, we didn't have, remote control cars when we were a kid. They were so expensive. Remote control cars are so cheap now. They must be able to produce them much more cheaply. But I guess radio technology must be cheaper now with everything going wireless. But when I was a kid, radio control cars were the most sort of luxury toy you could get. And so I remember a kid bringing one to school one day, but it was busted, or it got busted. He was showing it off and he was going to throw it out. And I was like, don't throw it out. I was like, I'll have it. And he's like, oh, but it doesn't work. I was like, oh, I don't care. So he gave it to me and I took it home and I ripped it apart and I found all the bits and I used my little multimeter and I was testing which bits worked and which bits didn't. So I kept all the bits that worked. And then over time, I just kept doing that. Anyone at school was like, if you got a busted remote control car, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And over time, I just Frankenstein together all the parts from these remote control cars. And I had to figure out, okay, not all the transceivers work on the same frequency. And then like not all the servos will connect together. But then eventually I was able to make this weird Frankenstein of a remote control car.
Hell yeah.
Put together out of all these different bits.
The creature.
Which was kind of cool. But then by the time I got to like working at Dick Smith, I was meeting other electronics enthusiasts, and then that was all about digital electronics. It was all about building getting an integrated circuit. This was just before Raspberry Pis and things like that. It was kind of maybe 10 years in the lead up to when Raspberry Pis would suddenly become a popular, I don't know what you call it, pop electronics or popular tech kind of thing. So you'd have to build first I'd have to build the board to put an integrated circuit into, to be able to then hook it up to a computer through like an RS-232 old school, like multi 9-pin plug to go into the computer, which I don't even know, you wouldn't be able to even do that anymore. And then write code on the computer to download into the integrated circuit to then program a thing.
Wow.
But man, like I remember having to find online the circuitry for the programming board. Etch that onto a piece of copper to be able to create and then drill out by hand the holes. This is how manual it was. Whereas now it's just, oh man, you could just
I remember
do
in
anything
school
now.
we had those boards with, and you would put the protective, you would paint or have these protective textures or whatever that you'd draw the thing, and then you'd put it in the acid.
That's it. Yeah, you could hand draw,
and it would eat away everything that you hadn't. And then if you did it properly, you'd be left with not a PCB because it wasn't printed, but a circuit board.
Well, essentially, that's what it was. Yeah, the one. Yeah, and then I'd do a few with the texture, and then I got more sophisticated because like working at Dick Smith, that was the only place I knew you could get this stuff as a hobbyist. And so you'd get ones that were light sensitive, so you'd print on a overhead transparency, the track mark, so you could design it on a computer. And I reckon I did it just in like MS Paint or equivalent. I wouldn't have been using any kind of proper CAD software or anything. I think I just had to draw it out with thick black lines on the computer and circles, and then print that on an overlay, expose it under a UV light, and then put it into like a home photography kit. Like you'd have to soak it in Developer and then soak it in Etcher and then I remember learning the colored bands on the resistors and how many with the kilo ohms and like you had the different kinds of pliers to either stand up the resistors or like hook them, and we were getting marked on how well we curved and gently curved away the legs of the resistors into the board, and getting marked on our solder. But and I was my mind was still being blown by like surface mount technology. Wow, these things are being soldered on the top of the board, right? Not underneath. You're not putting wires through the board and soldering it underneath. These are just going on the top, and then just microchip technology is just so exponentially complex and refined now. It just blows your mind.
It reminds me of this. Did you ever see on YouTube any of that Linus Tech Tips? He's like a big. He's I think he's in Canada or America, and he's got tens of millions of subscribers. He just does like tech reviews and tech tips and things. But he teed up with Destin from Smarter Every Day, and they went to the what NASA HQ would they have gone to? It would have been the one in Alabama where they I can't remember, but where they build a lot of the rockets.
Oh, okay.
And the fella that Destin was talking to, I'm blanking on his name, which is terrible, but he was one of the engineers on the Saturn V rocket on the the Apollo missions, and he was showing him some of the tech in the CPU of the Saturn V rocket, and he said, "Look under a microscope," and it was like a braided mesh with little copper, no, it wouldn't be copper. It would have been little iron or some ferrous, I think, little links on this mesh. So it was a mesh, and then in the intersections of the mesh, there were tiny little metal rings.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "That's a byte. Oh, that's a bit." Because and Linus is like, "What? That's a bit that they would either be positively or negatively charged, magnetized little either magnetized or not magnetized. I can't remember, but the video is great, and you can look under like a magnifying glass, and that's a bit of information, and so they were huge, and so you ended up with a byte or a kilobyte over the course of like the large thing, and they're just freaking out that how like you could see them. You
that's
could
so
see,
clever, though,
and that's where it was at the time. And the other video that I dug that made me think of it when you were talking about the crystal radio and how it didn't need power, because I guess it was powered by the carrier wave, I guess, by receiving that.
Yeah, essentially the antenna is having electrons excited and that is
by
electricity.
By the electromagnetic radiation of
that's right.
Yeah, and I think one of the better videos that I've seen on that sort of stuff that helped put a lot of I knew a lot of the language and I had a lot of the ideas, but I never really could connect them in my head. But one of my favorite YouTube channels is Technology Connections. I've probably mentioned it before, with a guy called Alec, who's a big old dork, but I find him very charming. And one of his early videos when he was super dorky, he was talking about he did a whole series on the evolution of sound and recording of sound, and he had like an Edison wax cylinder, and then he was talking about records and how you can have stereo records which was always very interesting, because how do you get just like one axis of motion into two channels, but really it's like two axes of motion on a diagonal, like going side to side and up and down. They're kind of...
Is that because the stylus is moving through a ravine?
Yeah.
Right?
And they've got the kind of stylus. It's I'll like butcher it if I try to explain it, but try
to explain it.
Okay,
butcher it.
Well, because they've got the two axes of like you've got side to side motion, then you got up and down motion. They're like, well, we could separate those axes and have two different channels, but of course that doesn't like really work as well, because you can't really, depending on moving up and down, moving side to side, one would wear out over time more than the other, and it's kind of like not reliable. So they kind of just tilted it 45 degrees. So it is going side to side and up and down. But you could plot that as, it's this diagonal direction and that diagonal, so you can still, even though they're kind of, if you're looking at it up and down and left and right, it's kind of jumbling around in a circular motion. That circular motion could be described by linear motion into opposing axes.
That's fascinating, isn't it? The mathematical idea of what looks chaotic when you apply certain mathematical... It's like in statistics, how they adjust for outliers or adjust for bias and things like that. They show like a scatter plot, and then they show the adjusted one, and suddenly it's all kind of linear, and you're like,
and you see those machines of like the what is it? Distribution.
Banana straightening machines. Is that what you're thinking?
The banana straightening machines. Now the normal distribution curves and stuff, and how it can be like, it's chaotic, but to repeat it over and over, and it will order from chaos sort of thing. But he talks about that in how they get two separate channels like a left channel and a right channel in a record recording, and then in a vinyl recording, and then he keeps going and talking about amplification, and the amplification one, I had a light bulb moment because I was like, what is like, what's tube, what's transistor, and he was talking about like reading like a weak signal and how you then take that signal and just like, how do you amplify it without like amplifying the noise, and talking about the way the way like vacuum tubes did it and allowed the current through and just replicated the signal but just at a higher voltage, and then how transistors did it as well, and it just, yeah, I love. I've never been really good at reading a lot, but YouTube's great for having all those ideas that I've heard a million times, and just with a good, like, maybe I'm too much of a visual learner if that's how to describe that, but seeing it in diagrams and spoken in and put in a really nice package like on YouTube.
I don't think you're too much of a visual. I think you just are a visual learner. Is how you say that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
different
so.
Kinds of learners.
So I heard someone say that, like, I'm a visual learner is something that's overused or not used correct. I don't know.
Well, like someone who just gave me a very messy tenderloin, you did not butcher that as much as I was expecting.
God bless you.
So there you are.
There you go.
But like sneezing after you said God bless you, but it doesn't work that way, does it? Like a diode that only operates one way.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, he's done it.
You can't preemptively God bless someone and make them sneeze. Maybe you could.
Maybe.
I like to think of things, by the way, that things that I haven't thought about since I was a kid, and so therefore haven't applied any kind of more mature credulity
yeah, that is
to.
Interesting.
Because as we were talking then, it just reminded me of something that I assume must be an urban legend from when I was a kid, but now I don't know. And it was the idea of thinking about crystal sets. It's those stories, maybe you've never heard this before, maybe this is just a weird Ben thing that I've somehow picked up somewhere along the line. Have you ever heard of stories of people who had mercury fillings, and that they used to use mercury fillings at some point? I don't know how it works, because
terrible idea.
But I think not liquid, like as in like there must be some alloy. Is that the word of mercury, something else? Anyway, but old fillings apparently had a phenomenon where when they reacted with the acid in saliva, people would suddenly hear radio coming out of their mouths. So their mouth would form an acoustic chamber, and then there'd be some sort of electrochemical reaction between the fillings and their saliva. Now, that's got to be a wives' tale, right? That's got to be schoolyard talk. Is there anything in that could be real?
I saw a YouTube video of some guy who's putting a leaf against a really high voltage line, and it was burning the leaf and receiving a radio wave.
Burning the leaf and receiving a radio wave.
Yeah. It was kind of like amplifying like a radio signal by them shorting out this leaf, and it was like burning them or hurting them, but it was, I can't remember, but yeah,
wow. Okay.
I don't know, you could receive,
that's in the same kind of ballpark.
That was me. That's me just saying, well, you could receive like radio signals in strange ways, apparently.
I mean, a crystal radio is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
The fact that is just turning resonance. So I think it's what is the crystal? No, Zener? Is that no Zener diodes? What's the crystal in a crystal earpiece? I think the reason they call it crystal radios is they've got a crystal, the same way that quartz has got resonance we've talked about in terms of quartz watches and clocks.
And it's the piezoelectric effect.
Yeah. So similarly, in crystal earpieces and crystal radios, that's what you're doing. You're using the piezoelectric effect of the resonance of this crystal being excited by the radio waves in the air, and it has to obviously be within whatever the range of AM radio is, and it's only for AM radio because that's amplitude modulation, so that's converting AM radio is closer in what the wave looks like of the radio signal as it relates to what the original audio signal was, whereas frequency modulation is completely encoded because now you're turning. It's like you're turning amplitude into frequency or something like that.
Okay.
You're converting into the frequency information.
Yeah, right.
Which is why FM radio has so much higher frequency ranges than AM radio.
I think there's a good Matt Parker video about that I have to rewatch. It's from Stand Up Maths.
So now I'm going to just Google some of the keywords of that schoolyard story that I said, and I'm going to wonder how close we're going to have. For starters, was it mercury fillings, or have I just added that? Because that in my head makes no sense. For starters, did people used to have mercury fillings?
Good question.
And then, could you receive radio signals in your mouth because of it?
Well, someone taught me something interesting the other day in terms of like something inducing a current in something else without needing to supply power. Because I'd always known that, you see, these microphones that we're using now, it was your niece Jasmine who taught me this.
Okay, because
she was doing the sound design, or I'm not sure the name of her studies, but these are dynamic microphones because they have a diaphragm. Sure. Sure.
I like when the
don't call me Shirley.
Script is just on the back of the microphone that I'm looking at here, so I can just say that.
But the actual, because I believe they're diaphragm microphones, so the vibration of the air that I'm supplying it is actually doing the activity of moving this diaphragm and generating the current in that way. So these don't actually... Like a wobble board. So these don't actually... Well,
Is it wobble board or woggle board?
Oh, I always thought it was wobble board. Like Rolf Harris's thing. Board.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought because you're wobbling it.
Ah, I thought it was woggle.
Oh,
woggle board.
If you felt like looking that up as well.
See, I'm normally against fact checking, but tonight I'm just in a bit of a fact checking mood.
Hey,
because I feel like we're going to learn. We're going to learn some interesting things.
Let's learn together.
A woggle is the little clip that we used to put around our Boy Scout scarves, the little leather thing. And I'm not saying that discounts it from also being woggle board, but you're probably right. It probably is wobble board. That would make more sense.
I've always said wobble board, but I could be wrong.
Second question: are wobble boards cancelled?
I think
along
so.
with Rolf Harris, or is it? Can you separate?
I think woggle boards
the
definitely
artist
are.
From the creation machine. Are they? Is there any other personality that we can relate to that weird musical instrument?
Yeah. Or are they who's famously used one other than
the disgraced
he who shall remain
Australian-born broadcaster? We'll find that out. All right. So continue.
But so these don't require power to be supplied in order to send the signal to my little recorder there. But my condenser mics at home, I don't know if they're ribbon mics or another kind of condenser mic. That's the limit of my understanding. But they won't really work unless I switch on phantom power on the recorder, which is supplying a little bit of voltage via that signal lead to the microphone to power it so that it can receive the signal. So and I kind of equate that in my brain to like radios needing to be powered in order to receive the signal. But some radios, like basic crystal radios, they receive all the power they need from the signal being sent to you.
And so what is a condenser mic then?
Don't know.
Oh, okay. So, because
but that's why these microphones are called dynamic microphones, because it's the movement of the diaphragm within that generates all the current that it needs to send the signal.
Okay.
I think that's the general idea.
All right. If I Google woggle board, things do come up.
Okay.
But it is also the name of like a pool toy, I think, apparently, as well. So maybe that's what I'm getting it mixed up with.
Maybe.
The wobble board was invented by Rolf Harris, so it's unlikely to be associated with anyone else.
How how far can you push the word invented? Like discovered is maybe what I would say there. How much do you actually have to do to invent a thing? Before it's actually just a discovery.
That's right. There's that famous one I remember from kids' books was that Benjamin Franklin didn't invent electricity. But he discovered it when he attached a key to a kite, right? Because it's already a natural phenomenon. Then there'd be books and they'd be like, you'd have to differentiate and say which is an invention and which was a discovery. So you're right with the fact that a cardboard sheet makes a noise. Is that a discovery or an invention? Because discovering that a bit of catgut makes a noise when you sort of strum it or pluck it, is that a discovery or is that an invention?
Well, I feel like if you then go and carve wood in a fashion,
counts.
Well, you got to do that first.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then like carve wood in a fashion that then you can then string it with like a pegged sort of tuning arrangement, and like there's invention there, whereas I can't shake the feeling that he just noticed that a board was making.
It does say it's similar to the thunder sheet, which was a metal instrument used to imitate the sound of thunder in 18th century theatre.
Similar to a thunder sheet, maybe.
I mean, it basically
the
is
same.
It's just a thunder sheet made of cardboard.
I just don't. I think we're the statute of limitations is passed on defending Harris's honor, so I'm happy to take that away from him.
I like this bit. 2 wobble boards donated by Harris were part of the National Museum of Australia collection before they were removed in light of his arrest for indecent assault in 2013. Which, when you boil it down, is really the couple of bits of cardboard were given to the museum and then they were just thrown out again after this guy got. That really does illustrate kind of the importance of fame and the cancel culture, isn't it? Now, when I Google fillings and radio reports, it is like there's more to it than I actually thought.
Okay.
Mythbusters has tried to validate it and hasn't been able to.
Right.
And Snopes still calls this undetermined.
Right.
So not actually. So we're still madly on the fence about whether this is a thing or not. One of the main stories seems to be a story told by Lucille Ball on the Dick Cavett show in 1974, which makes me feel like it's made up then. But apparently she said that she was picking up radio broadcasts through her dental fillings during World War II as she was driving home from MGM Studios. Which does seem like something that Lucille Ball would say.
Dick Cavett would have just strung that out and got the hot.
Well, I see. Okay, so you were picking up spy
that's right.
things through your fillings. Through your fillings.
That's
okay.
Remarkable.
Okay. Well, after the break, we have Jack Monroe, and he'll be bringing us the latest additions to the San Diego Zoo. It's called a Komodo dragon, and it's the largest of its kind in the world. Okay. So, and then there's a lot of stuff online of people going, yeah, look, it can happen, and technically, yes, it could, and yeah, it happened to a friend of a friend of a friend of mine. So, yeah, inconclusive is what I'm going to call it. But Mercury is in filling, so I didn't make that better.
Why did you run up here? Can I use the bathroom?
Look, I mean, there's in the Journal of Biomedical Physics and Engineering, there's a paper called The Triple M Effect, a proposed mechanism to explain increased dental amalgam micro leakage after exposure to radio frequency electromagnetic radiation.
Why did Triple M get the shout out?
It's a branding thing now. If you want to get a scientific paper done now, you got to get some branding behind
FM radio station. Get off.
Yeah, what is behind the what do you call them, codes of the different radio stations? Is that a call sign? Is that what they are?
Oh yeah. I'm not sure.
SAFM. That makes sense to me. South Australia frequency modulation.
Triple
M, Triple J.
Triple J.
And then it was always, because again, The Simpsons, you're listening to KBBM, or it would always have some 4-letter.
The Bill and Marty show.
Yeah. So it must be some kind of designation of a radio call sign, because I guess otherwise you'd have radio stations in somewhere like the US. You'd have all these short, like local radio stations that all end up broadcasting over the top of each other because they wouldn't have enough bandwidths, would they?
No, I wouldn't have thought.
Once you got to, again, this is showing my transition era of working in Dick Smith Electronics. I was there when they were transitioning from analog cordless phones into the age of digital and high frequency cordless phones, and you'd get up to there'd be 1.2 gigahertz, and then there was the 2.4s, and then there was these 5.4 gigahertz cordless phones, and you could have 5 of them on the same network, and they were like so high frequency that they couldn't get any interference from anywhere else.
I can remember we had one of our first cordless phones, the big sort of one. I don't know if it was Panasonic or something. It was a big unit with a base. But if you were talking on the phone, if someone was using this little black and white CRT TV that we had in the spare room, you know, we had the main TV in the lounge room, then little old big dial click black and white TV, it would pick up the conversation on the phone, and so there must have been a harmonic of the frequency or something. So you'd be watching TV and it would start to go a little fuzzy, and you'd just be able to hear broadcast whatever someone was saying on the phone.
It's no wonder that people get up in arms and get all sorts of conspiracy theories around 5G or power lines, because that's one of those things where I scoff at it, going, conspiracy theory. These people don't understand science. And then if someone said, "Well, explain the science to me," I'd be like, "Well, it's just it's kind of like there's waves and there's things and there's and there's like
frequencies."
And I don't know. I've walked past the microwave wearing my AirPods before, and they've gotten like funny. And I'm like, well, nothing should be happening to me when I walk past a microwave, right?
Yeah,
because surely that if it's interfering with my AirPods, there's something going wrong if I'm walking past a microwave. But I've always felt like something goes a bit weird. Any electronics near a microwave oven, and then everyone's, oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Just nuke your food.
Yeah.
And they joke about it, calling it nuking your food. It's like, it's just little nuclear. What does she call it in a science oven? Isn't that what Jennifer Lawrence's character keeps calling it in that movie? It's a science oven.
Science oven. That's great.
When they first invented it in like the late 70s or early 80s. But yeah, resonance, radio frequencies. I had one more tab open in my brain, and it's gone now. Probably too many trips past the microwave today. No.
Still trying to think of what that... Because I think some of my friends got this kit from...
Oh, your radio jammer.
I don't think it was a radio jammer, but it was something...
So we used to sell police scanners, or at least we used to sell radio scanners, and you could scan all these different frequencies. And again, I was at that transition period when digital technology was coming into its own, because we had a lot of older gentlemen that would come in and complain that they couldn't tap into the police bands anymore, because the police, at least in South Australia, transferred over to the digital encryption systems at that time,
which is probably fair enough.
And so Uniden and all the manufacturers of these things had to start putting out press releases explaining to their customers, you're no longer going to be able to pick up the emergency services bands on here anymore, because even though we're at the right frequency, you don't have the decryption. The digital decryption is not built into this.
Oh, that is kind of sad.
And then trying to explain that as a teenager to older gentlemen in the 90s was very complicated.
Yeah, right. My grampy used to have a CB radio in his back shed. I used to go out there and he would listen to the Parafield Airport communications.
Yep.
And he'd have a map up on the wall with a radius drawn around like Parafield and Adelaide Airport, and he plotted out where he was in on the map.
Yeah,
and so he'd listen and to all the call signs and stuff, and then figure out where they were. And then when they were coming over, he'd run out with his binoculars and.
Is this just a hobby thing? Would this have been a hangover from naval training, or
maybe? I
column
mean,
A, column B?
I know Grampy was always into planes. I think he ended up having I think he has color blindness, so I think that was what what stopped him from pursuing aviation.
Yeah.
But he was always really keen on planes and gadgets and things like that. But yeah.
God, that is a colorblindness being a block to aviation is such a convergence of something that should have been able to be overcome, but just the...
I know
that won't be a thing in the future, surely.
Surely not.
In terms of ableism.
If not already,
right? But just that pure idea, because again, we were talking about color codes on resistors. You weren't able to be an electrician for a long time in terms of color blindness.
Yeah,
and now there's a lot of additional
that's why
tools and technologies you can use.
The Earth, in Australia is like the yellow and green, isn't that right?
It depends on the era. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's been yellow and green, and then you don't touch brown because that's the color your pants go if you touch that one. That's what they always used to tell us as well. Yeah, I think that's right. But again, you don't want to forget that. You don't want to be putting out like information like that on the airwaves because it's always inconsistent. And
sure.
So there's blue, brown, and red and yellow. If you look at some wiring in houses, some like AC wiring in houses, but then you'll also find, I'm trying to remember now, because there's a really frustrating inconsistency, and it's an inconsistency in exactly the way that you wouldn't want it to be because it makes it as dangerous as possible.
Yeah,
it's not like it was something like swapping out black for brown, but it actually flips which one's live and which one's earth at the same time. So it's so you get a fairly similar color that's now no longer safe. And what else? Trying to explain to people that just because the voltage on the multimeter goes up to 10,000 volts on the dial doesn't mean that little battery-operated multimeter is rated to jam into the PowerPoint. Not that pot calling the kettle black or brown, depending on the era. For someone like me who is happily sticking my crystal radio earthwires into the PowerPoints and then trying to explain to customers not to plug their multimeters, their cheap multimeters, into the PowerPoints.
Got a zap the other day, climbing over my neighbour's fence.
Oh,
so I was trying to move something that's fallen down the
side. She tased you, did she? So this is the last time you climb over here?
I didn't think he'd have it on because
okay.
I didn't think he'd have it on because he had no cows in his paddock. They'd gone elsewhere, so I thought he would have turned it off. But no, it was on. And it was. I don't remember it being that. Maybe he's up to the juice because I can remember being a kid, and I don't remember the electric fences. Just a little single line that you add with it that goes through the little ceramic insulators. That I don't remember it giving me that much of a jolt. But holy moly, it woke me up.
They got good electricity these days, Brennan. It's not weak like back in our days.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the cows, it was keeping the cows out, but then blokes just kept climbing over his fence. So he was like, well, I'm going to have to do something about this and bump it up.
So I was all the way down the other end, and like I was like this bit of galvanized iron is kind of like fallen down, and I wanted to pull it up, and I wanted to get around the other side to push it, and I would have had to walk all the way to the gate and then all the way back. I'm like, I'll just climb over the fence. It's probably not on, and hot diggity dog that put some sugar in my coffee.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a bit of a shock, literally, to the system. I had a good one off the car battery not the battery, off the car while the engine was running. But
that'll do
which, you're not supposed to do. And I'm like, I'm not going to, I'm just got to do this quick thing and then just drop the spanner or whatever down. And that one I felt, that was, because I've also done it on 240 volts, but off the car, the current going through the running engine of the car was much more, it felt much more potent to me than getting a shock. Because I guess with 240 volts, that's a high voltage and a high current, but it was, I don't know, it shocked. The thing they like, the horror story I always think is like people's muscles clamping, so you can't like let go or whatever. Ooh. But this one just pinged me off. This one, like it like spun my arm, like it actually like knocked my arm back off the thing, and I felt it go right down through my chest. So I wouldn't recommend that one.
Other stupid ones I've done is when I was cleaning the spark plug on my whippersnipper.
Right, with your tongue. And
Yeah.
just- yeah.
Yeah. I took it out and I was like gapping it and like just cleaning it up a bit because I'd flooded the chamber somehow. So you have to take it out and pull the cord a couple of times. And I was putting it on and I'm just like, oh, is that clean enough? Will it still make a spark? I'll just pull the thing and see if it had. But I was holding it when I was, and I tell you what, I knew about it. My God.
Burn your fingers.
And then afterwards, it was just like, you idiot. That's what, like, there's no excuse.
Oh, it happens so quickly, and your brain, your disdain for yourself, rises
it's just,
so
of
quickly.
Of course, you idiot.
Oh man, the number of times you do something, you're like, well, it's like you could have just died there. Like, what am I even supposed to be alive now? If I got past that one, and
I was talking to my brother about this the other day, just like. Sometimes you just got to not think about it, go about your day, because if you stop and think about how close your number was to being up, then you're just, oh God.
Yeah, because then there's like the weight of responsibility on your shoulders, and you've just got the image of the lady playing Matt Damon's wife when he's an old man in the Frame story of Saving Private Ryan, just putting the hand on the shoulder, being like, you've got to earn this now, right? You survived this one. Earn this. No, I'm not going to earn this. It's just not. That was just dumb. Like, I'm going to do another dumb thing pretty soon. 100%. So just get ready for that.
Yeah,
I'll just keep doing dumb things until one of them actually gets me.
I did try to exercise gratitude for the times that it didn't end up bad. The other day, like, I nearly dropped a glass bottle of olive oil. You know how the olive oil comes in the glass.
Yeah,
and I nearly dropped it, and then I didn't.
Okay.
And I put it, and I went, whew, that was close. And I put it on the shelf, and because I was getting ready to go somewhere. I think. And
was
then
this life or death?
No, it wasn't life or death.
I thought you were going to say, like, you almost did it in front of a group of Italians or something.
That would have been.
Mamma mia!
I would have.
I would. We would have killed you.
No, it was nothing that bad. But I did save it, and then I was just about to go about my day without stopping, and I just went, hang on. Think about what just didn't happen.
Oh, yeah,
Like dropping this.
You can give yourself credit for the save if you do a good save, like, especially if there's the reflexes come out and you're like, yeah.
But if I drop that bottle of like oil all over the slate floor of the kitchen, glass in the oil, it would have just ruined. It's happened before to me, and it ruins your day. And I was just, I just thought maybe this is a good exercise for me to just stand here for a moment and just appreciate that didn't happen, because if it did, I would have been so annoyed, and then there's an imbalance there because I didn't do it and I was just about to go about it and go, oh phew, and then not actually celebrate the other side.
Yeah, there's a curve though. We talked about bell curves and things earlier, but I think there is a threshold at which if the catastrophe is ridiculous enough, it pushes it over the limit into like, well, that's pretty ridiculous that just happened as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to just push it beyond. Like, it can't just be spilling a little bit of paint on your pants. It's got to be like upending the entire tin all over the couch and you and the cat and everything. And then it's like, then it's worth it.
Yeah, sure.
And you're like, okay. I dropped I also, one of my other early jobs was working at the bottle shop, and I dropped a can of like Bundy and Coke premix fell out of the 6-pack holder as I was sort of shuffling things up, and it dropped and it landed on the top, and it just punctured like a pinhole, which then it started spinning around like a little pinwheel, but under its own pressure, and so this fine, sugary, sticky, syrupy mist of a smell you don't really want everywhere, and a stickiness that's not going to get out of carpet and cardboard and clothes and everything else that was basically around. And it just did a really good misting sprinkler. It probably got about 3-4 meter radius of just everything around me. And because I had so much other stuff in my hands and I was like halfway up a step ladder, it took me a good 10-15 seconds to get down. I'm pretty sure the whole can empty by the time. So it's just one can out of the whole lot. And the number of times I'd managed to not drop an entire carton of a dozen bottles of red wine or something like that. But this one bloody can, just the smell of that just persisted, and the stickiness persisted for months afterwards.
That is, I have a very similar one. That is worse than mine, given the alcohol and the stench of that sort of thing. But mine was like a Coke can or a Diet Coke can. It was when we were working at Howard Storage World.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know whose idea it was to put actual cans in the can roller fridge dispenser. And exactly so I was moving it, and one fell out.
Yeah.
And it hit the ground and just went, and it just like flung around and spurted that fine jet of sticky like cola all over shelves, all over products, all over the carpet, and it went up the wall. And I just, I guess I have to clean this now. But the worst thing was when I was like, it went all over that black melamine on the wall, and I knew I'd need to use some kind of agent to get it off, because it was like the stickiness. It wouldn't, just wiping it down wet. I would have, and I found some like Mr. Sheen or something. And I thought,
you would have used some exit soap, wouldn't you, or a magic eraser?
Yeah.
Or...
Well, I think I did use the magic eraser, but I did need some kind of
good upsell at the counter.
He still got it.
Hey,
but
maybe a Xylus bottle opener, or
he still got it.
Mate, I've been employing my Howard Storage Road organising for the last couple of weeks. I've been going crazy organising the kids' toys, man. It's just been tub trugs and
place for everything.
Oh, mate, it's been good. But go on.
No, it was just, the most annoying thing was that a little bit of it got on the wall, so I cleaned it with this Mr. Sheen. But of course, Mr. Sheen does its own sort of thing.
Okay.
And then when you were standing at the counter, you could see when it catch the light, the bit that I'd cleaned was now looked different. Looked different to the rest. So I had to clean the entire flipping wall of the thing.
Yep.
Because of the
ended up in a Mr. Bean with Whistler's mother painting situation, didn't you?
Yeah. Well done. That's exactly what it was.
Now, was this before or after Reese instituted the no soft drinks at the counter rule?
This was after that.
Oh,
but it wasn't at the counter. It wasn't at the counter. It was real display cola.
Okay, but to be fair, not the only instance of you getting into trouble with Coke at the Howard Storage Road.
That wasn't me who left it. That was Mauricio's Coke.
Mauricio.
And he had brought a Coke behind the counter,
gentleman.
and had to put it there after Reese had said no drinks behind the counter. And I opened those little the flappy barn doors to get into the counter area, because the counter was like an island. And I knocked over the Coke, and Reese was like, "God, that's why I said no Coke behind the door, Murray." What? And Mauricio's looking at his Coke's like, "Oh, my Coke," and he's not listening to Reese at all. Just like, "God, Murray, why'd you say it?" And then for the rest of the day, every time I walked in, because I was brand new at the Howard's, every time I'd come in, and Murray would just say, "Brendan Williams, the man who killed the Coke." He was a great guy. He was this is the fella that Ben and I worked with, and he was from Colombia. And I wonder how he's doing.
I hope he's doing well. He was great. That was a classic example of a dude who'd come over, like, who'd migrated with his family for the family safety, and he'd been like a manager. It's like a senior executive manager of 100 people for some big telco company, but because of his English, like, because he hadn't learned English yet, like, he got bumped back down to like working with a bunch of knuckleheads like us in a retail outlet of a strip mall, and getting his Coke knocked over.
I can still remember he walked in one morning and he'd bought the advertiser, and he'd walked in and he was holding the advertiser, and he just like, it was like his way of saying good morning was, he was like, he's like, $1, 1 day. And he walked in, and I thought he was saying what, because the paper cost $1, and he was just like, every day $1. And you had to pull me aside and go, no, he's trying to say another day, another $1. But it was just $1, 1 day. I still remember that. He was a real sweetheart.
I think that the Dick Smith Electronics kind of talk is the perfect segue because I feel like Dick Smith as a guy was also probably in that same pantheon as
Big time.
Rob and Deane
Big time.
of The Curiosity Show, which is the show that we watch on a weekly basis here on Supermind Stretches with me, Ben Crisp.
And me, Brendan Williams.
And that's how we like to do it. Introduce the show, introduce ourselves very late in the piece.
We haven't even shouted out our that we're Sans Tom again tonight. Sadly.
Sans Tom Crisp, my brother from the same mother, who is one of the 3 co-hosts, but unfortunately can't make it tonight. But
we got a hold of him last week, and it was a delight.
We're flexible though, aren't we?
We are.
Rob doesn't do every segment with Deane. Deane doesn't do every segment with Rob. Did they ever have a third? I feel like there was a woman who another host I reckon that came in later in the piece. Like I feel like there's a woman that used to co-present pieces later, or unless I'm getting mixed up with the segments they used to do on Hey It's Saturday.
Okay, and they had Lavinia Nixon.
Yeah, potentially. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But oh man, at some point we got to do a Hey It's Saturday. Maybe that's what we do tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Rob was ever on her. I think it was just Deane Hutton.
Deane was the man. I can remember specifically Deane was on doing a bit about like impossible cubes, and he'd made one out of matchsticks that if you held it in a certain way in front of the camera, it looked like an impossible cube. And I was like, how do you do that? And he turned it on the side, and it was obvious what had happened. Still very impressive.
You got to vamp because the internet's gone down now.
The internet has gone down.
You got to flash this out now.
See,
what's an impossible cube?
Speaking of digital and analog and whatnot, if I'd bought a recorder like this today, it would probably need to be connected to the internet and wouldn't work if the internet went down. But
I mean, as soon as I type in Curiosity Show, Hey It's Saturday, I should have written Deane Hutton, Hey It's Saturday, but immediately just I don't even know. I kind of want to watch these clips, but I also just
not Robert Downey Jr. Sorry, Harry Connick Jr.
This is like the title of this clip is Will Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, Marina Pryor, Red Faces, 1997.
Yeah,
Hey It's Saturday.
The people they got on that show.
Hey It's Saturday. John McEnroe, Sheryl Crow, Pat Cash, 1998.
Yeah,
it's such what an eclectic snapshot. Very bizarre.
No,
all right, that's got to be its own spin-off show as well. Yeah. I mean, I do want to watch another MacGyver clip with you because I kind of feel like that's got to become a thing.
Yep.
Of its own as well.
But
yeah, what was I saying about Dick Smith? Was the man Dick Smith was an Australian explorer, and he flew helicopters and had air balloons and did stuff, and then they made Dick Smith brand. He got pissed off that all the Australian spreads and foods were all American owned. So like what used to be classic Australian brands like Arnott's and Kraft and things like that were all actually either actually American or had been bought out and were now American subsidiaries. So he started making all his own food.
Geordie reckons that the Dick Smith, the Aussie bite, wasn't too bad.
They were good. They were good products, We didn't sell them at Dick Smith Electronics. That was the problem. People would come in asking for the stuff.
Oh.
You'd have to go to
the supermarket.
Woolworths or Coles to buy it. But do you remember what his matches were called?
Yeah, I do actually.
Because the classic brand was Redheads, So of course
Dick Smith's Redheads, you know.
Dickheads, you could say.
Yeah, you can say it. Okay, I wasn't sure.
All right, here we go.
Oh, hey, it's Saturday with Deane Hutton.
Oh, is this just a supercut?
Oh, maybe.
Deane Hutton demonstrated the Richter scale.
Excellent.
On a shaking set with Daryl Summers.
Okay. There's a lot happening here.
Oh, man. I miss this era of Australian
Elvis
television.
is involved somehow.
Yeah, there's an Elvis impersonator shaking the
table to demonstrate the Richter scale.
Oh, it is a supercut. Now they're the classic stabbing a straw into a potato.
Yeah.
Ultra slow motion camera. You didn't see what was really happening. If you had seen it, here's what you would have seen.
So he's a bit of a comedian.
Yeah, right.
Deane. He gets into it, pretending that actually they drilled a hole for the straw.
What's the trick with that one? You kind of have to...
I love these. This is the pumping water into a Coke bottle with the fins on it. With a bit of water to make a bottle rocket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, how good.
Another
So
Luke
much good
Tilsley
stuff.
special. Me and Luke made one of those bottle rockets and had to launch it. But they didn't have a bike pump. The only pump they had was an electric pump that you'd plug into the 12 volt on the car.
Right.
So finally, waiting for his dad to get home from whatever he was doing to unlock the car so he could hook it up to the 12 volts and then launch the rocket off. And then we were so excited until his dad came out and he's like, "What the hell have you done?" And the car was just totally covered in mud inside and out because the water had just sprayed mud straight into the car. So then we had to spend the rest of the day cleaning the car.
Yeah.
But hijinks.
Part of it. Yeah. Part of the learning experience.
And you could never make... So in the book, so this is a soft drink bottle and then you'd have to plug the end and then you'd need to get the bicycle pump pin into the end of the bottle.
The sports ball pin. Yeah.
So they would always recommend using candle, like a bit of a candle as candle wax, because cork wasn't airtight enough, I think,
Gotcha.
for some reason. Once you'd put the hole in it, I think that was... But it could never get it to work properly. Right. So you'd have to get the kit. There was like a kit that they would sell at the shops.
Deane did it just there.
Well, I can see he's got the kit. Because I reckon Curiosity Show also started selling these kinds of kids' science kits as well.
Hell yeah.
And then the Australian Geographic shop, I think, was the other place that you'd get a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Do you know what I saw the other day at the Maritime Museum?
Heck yeah.
Was the little...
Rob Morrison?
Rob Morrison. Yeah, he just hangs out there. Like, "Hey, Rob Morrison, are you here?" "Yes, I am. And in fact, why don't you come over here and I'll just show you something. There's something very interesting about this."
This is a Chinese windlass.
What did I learn, actually? I did learn something. We were taking the kids there, but, it's really for me, not for the kids. No, it was I was like, I'm going to learn something. I was thinking about you, actually, because, you do a bit of sailing and you do a bit of... I was like, Brendan would be interested in this kind of stuff. And I'm like, my kid just wants to play pirates, which was, pretty fun. We unplanned found an eye patch in the car on the way, so we were just listening to pirate shanties the whole way to the Maritime Museum and then just play pirates. Couldn't convince him, though, that we had to face away from the wheel.
Right.
The what do you call it? The steering wheel
of the ship. The helm.
The captain's wheel. Yeah. So because this one, the wheel was above the rudder instead of being at the front of the bow of the ship.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know, piratically, you imagine standing with your chest to the wheel.
Yep.
Arms on each side, sort of tilting left and right. 4 sheets to the wind. There you go. I was grasping for a phrase, and I got there in the end. But then we read the little plaque, and it said, actually, we're facing the wrong way. We got to turn. You got to stand next to the wheel.
Right.
It was a decent sized wheel as well.
Yeah,
it was definitely bigger than Harry. It was about up to my shoulder. But you'd be standing to the side and looking down the rest of the ship.
Yep.
So like I don't know what you'd call that, like a yacht or whatever this thing was. It was a cargo ship. That's what they've got there.
Right.
But what I did learn was how to use a sextant.
Yeah, nice.
Because a sextant's one of those things that I love the look of, but I've never really understood what...
And you'd have all your charts of what time of year and whatnot.
Yes. So this one... So I don't think you'd need to know the time for the sextant, I think. They said that you would usually use the sextant around the middle of the day when the sun was highest in the sky. But the idea of it was like a periscope, having 2 mirrors, and you're lining up the sun on the horizon. So you're looking through mirrors to orient the sun, and what you're actually moving, the lever or the handle on the sextant that is moving the mirror that is going to adjust until the sun is visible in the eyepiece.
Right.
And where you're trying to locate the sun in the eyepiece is so that it's on the horizon.
Right.
And then you're looking, and it's essentially a protractor on the side, and it's telling you the angle of how high the sun is in the sky.
That's the stuff.
And then you're using that angle, and then there was a formula basically that you had to add. You had to add to 90 degrees or from 90 degrees the declination or the inclination.
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of after you figured out the angle of the sun in the sky, and that's what you were saying. Then what time of year it was.
Yeah,
and so that was is that the declination, inclination? I can't remember what the name for that was.
Right.
So there's the angle of the sun of the sky, then there's the angle, then there's the tilt of the earth depending on the time of year.
Sure.
And then from that you could work out latitude.
Right.
But for a long time they couldn't figure out longitude. Because longitude they couldn't figure out until they had a clock until they invented, not discovered, invented a clock.
Yes, correct.
That could be taken onto a ship. And they could keep time on a ship because the only clocks that they had were
pendulum clocks.
Or big tower like clocks, basically. But pendulum. And
which won't work on ships because it's too rocket.
In port they might
maybe
dry docked
if you're lucky.
Would these nautical jokes do anything for your seafaring friends? Would they?
Sure.
You'd try them out.
I'll try them out. They're pretty forgiving.
They're not going to make me walk the plank, are they?
No,
they're going to throw me overboard.
That would kill. That would kill in more ways than one.
Oh, that's a good one. That was another one from when I was a kid. It was like a fact book where it was like most people actually died of fear from falling over, being made to walk the plank before they even drowned.
Deary me.
And as a kid, you read that in a trivia book. It's like, wow, did you know that actually people didn't drown when they got pushed off the plank because most people actually died of fear. That was one that a few years later we did revisit and we're like, what? That's not a... How would you... No. That can't. Why would that be a fact? And how could you ever prove that? And why would you put that in a fact
measure
book?
That? Did you ever see Steve Mould's stand-up thing that he did at a live show that he did with Matt Parker on the fact book that his friend had?
Oh no!
I got to send you this video
because that was a running joke for you, me, and Geordie. It was this idea of writing a fact book.
So the fact book was, it is colder. No, the temperature outside an airplane is five times colder than your freezer, or something like that. And Steve Mould goes, I think this is how you're supposed to read that fact. You're supposed to go, oh, and then turn the page. And yeah, Mime's turning the page, and he said, well, my friend said he got into an argument with his family about how that didn't make sense. And they all said, it's the fact. It's in the book. You're overthinking it. It's like, no, it's 5 times colder. He goes, but he doesn't. And he goes, and I'm with my friend. I don't think it does. So, and he takes down all the ways that it could mean, so it's like the temperature outside an airplane is 5 times colder than your freezer. And it's like, what does colder mean?
For starters, it's blowing my mind even to think what is 5 times colder.
Yeah. And he said, and he goes through
twice as cold.
Each thing that could mean. But he goes, first off, and he's got a slideshow presentation. He says, okay, first off, the first thing we need to uncover is, and this comes up on the screen. It says, we're all outside an airplane right now. And it's not that cold, and it just says we're like, and I've got because I'm such a super fan, I've got a T-shirt that says we're all outside of an airplane right now, and it's not that cold.
Have you worn it on a plane?
I haven't worn it on a plane.
Well, that's what we need. It was a photo of you wearing that on a plane next time you're on a plane. See?
That's a good point. Yeah.
The other one was like ants never sleep. But that makes me laugh more because I've got the memory of our friend Nick Coyle just doing a classic Nick Coyle line as well as we were commenting. I think I was getting genuinely annoyed at the thought of the people that were writing this trivia book, and Nick was just laid back in his chair, and I was saying, it's like they're all just sitting around trying to rush to finish this book and they don't know what's going on, and then Nick just playing the part of one of the people in the room at this publishing house that are like on a deadline to finish this trivia book, and they got 5 blank pages left to fill. And he's like, put in something about ants. Look at all these ants down here. Look at that. Ants never sleep, I reckon. So is that true? Yeah, look at them. They're just running around. Look. No, but is it actually true that they never sleep? Yeah, look at them. Look, they're always just running. They're always doing something. They're always running around something. Put that in. Ants never sleep. Yeah. It's like something about walking the plank. Like, I bet they died of fear before they ever like drowned. What does that even mean? Just put it in.
Just put it in. Dearie me.
I think it's MacGyver time.
MacGyver time. Yeah. Let's do it.
What happens though if Tom comes back and he wants to be in the MacGyver thing? Because it's kind of going to be established now.
Yeah, we forgot to do it last week
as a thing that only happens when
it only happened
here.
when it was you and me. But what
I have no idea what this is. This is just a playlist by Buck Green.
Thanks, Buck
MacGyver
Green.
Season 1 episodes. It's on YouTube, so it's obviously not full episodes, though. So they're just all little 1 or 2 minute clips with different names. I'm guessing, are these all the names of the episodes?
How strong?
Thief of Budapest, The Gauntlet, The Golden Triangle, Trumbo's World, Target MacGyver, The Heist,
Target
Hellfire,
MacGyver,
The Prodigal. I reckon that The Prodigal sounds like it must be that one about the kid, right?
I think that was later seasons.
MacGyver, Slow Death. This looks like railway tracks, so I'm going to go with this. Oh, this is just the opening credits.
Money. Explosives. Swiss Army knife. Chemicals.
But this is...
massive switches with electricity. Yeah, it's a pretty long intro. Oh, wow. What a kick.
Has Buck Green just created his own trailers for every episode to the tune? Because this is clearly all clips from this episode.
That I see what you're doing.
What an interesting project for someone to just do.
So, that's my favorite bit, when the strings come up.
Yes.
Whoa, it's blowing up a bridge.
Oh, this is just making me want to watch MacGyver again now.
Yeah. Seltzer water in the eye.
You
Trains,
salt
bullets.
in someone's eye. There was people in headdresses on horseback there. What country or nation do we suspect that was supposed to be recreating in what would have had to have been just a backlot in Southern California outside the studios, I'm assuming. Because there's no way MacGyver was traveling around the world. The production crew of MacGyver were traveling around the world to create this swashbuckling adventure.
MacGyver. This week on MacGyver.
All right, so we're gonna look for an actual clip because that was interesting, but that's not exactly what we're looking for here. All right, so we've done. We don't want to do the paperclip. That's the classic. We need to see. All right, MacGyver car phone.
Oh,
here we go. What's this going to be? Car phones must have been blowing people's minds when MacGyver was out.
How did they work?
Oh, here we go. Spinning wheel of death.
Oh, here we go. The tension. Is that his car? I don't think that's his car.
Whenever I see a car phone, I can't help wondering whether the person who owns it is important or wants everyone else to think he's important.
Yeah, I knew there was going to be some dig at the
Simmons
fat cats with a car phone.
Latter category.
Because MacGyver's a man of the people.
Yeah, truly.
He wouldn't need a car phone. There's trusty little Victorinox.
Yep.
With the proper connections, it's possible that a cellular phone can reach out and touch the security system of the car's onboard computer.
All right, so he's pulled the conduit out from underneath the dashboard.
I was hoping to take control of Linda's very expensive new toy by simply getting the phone to talk to the computer, knowing that computers always do as they're told.
This is that classic, like...
Except at my bank, of course.
Another little man of the people.
Yeah.
This is that classic sort of 80s, 90s trope of computers are just magic. Computers can do anything.
Yep. So what's he gonna do there?
So he's just pulled 2 wires from the conduit of the car from underneath it. We're not even going to see what's going to happen.
Not even going to see what's going to happen. Now I'm dying to know.
The idea there was that he was going to use the car phone to somehow switch off the digital security system of the car, which I don't think is a thing.
No,
but I never quite got to digital electronics. So as far as I know, maybe it is just magic, right?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe you can just hook up.
I think it was magic back then. I think now they've invented the opposite, and so like it's not magic anymore. That magic they've uninvented it.
Well, it's like
with the new digital.
So what year that would have been? Yeah, I reckon late 80s. I think.
Yeah,
we were talking about Superman 4 the other week, or whichever one, the Richard Pryor one.
Right, yeah.
Which has got the salami slicing plot in it, which is the Office Space.
The Office Space one, yeah. I think that was 3.
3? Yeah. Okay. No, because 4 is when he got all preachy, and it's all about getting rid of nuclear disarmament. And there's a kid at the school who's like, Superman would do something about all these nuclear weapons.
What's the one where Lex Luthor gets the hair and makes the clone of Superman and throws it?
That's like number 2, isn't it?
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Where he just gets like bolt cutters and cuts like the Superman hair that's in the museum.
Yeah, I don't think that's 2, because 2 is where they rejoin like with General Zod. And General Zod comes back and then they fight in 2 is where Superman like gives up his powers.
So maybe it's 3 or 4 then. I reckon it's 4 then. Yeah,
4.
Because 4, the way that's right, because they use that hair to make a bad Superman.
Yeah,
but they make the thing that they make like the egg for the bad Superman out of the hair, but put it into a nuclear bomb. To trick Superman into because Superman is collecting all the nuclear bombs from around the world and throwing them
into the sun.
In a giant net. Which I don't know where he got that from. Into the sun. Yeah. But but Richard Pryor is able to use a computer to just do anything in the one that he's in. At one point, like he's just tapping on a computer and he makes the figures on traffic lights, the green and the red man, fight each other. Like the green man climbs up into the red man's window and like they punch each other, which is like such a bizarre reading of not only computers but just traffic lights as well. Of like what the only thing stopping that from happening is that they're not programmed to do that. And that, like someone who can program a computer, it's very bizarre.
They just didn't have good enough programmers.
No, that's right. They just
Enter Richard Pryor.
And the funny thing also is that he's not even a good, like, he just reads a wanted ad in the paper to do a computer course, and he takes like a weekend computer course, and he becomes like a genius computer programmer who could just can control anything. He controls the share market, and he controls all the traffic and So computers, man. They're computers. You just plug the wires into them in your car phone.
Computer magic.
If you can find a car phone in some fat cat's car.
Oh, God. Whenever I see a car phone, I think, is this person really important?
I'd get one, but I tell you what, I don't think my bank manager would have much to say about that. Remember jokes about the bank manager being like down your back? Like, the manager of my local bank going to have a go at me about my money in the bank that we always talk about.
Yeah.
That we have a conversation about. Engaging in transactions at the bank.
Yeah. I always thought it was fun. There was a lot of banks in like the movies that I was watching as a kid, and like that relationship with it. I thought they were so much more powerful than they actually were.
The manager of the bank. It was always a punchline to a joke, or like the bad guy that they were going to foreclose, you know, or they were going to. Something was always going to happen. It was they were always going to like knock down the local park to build a shopping mall. Because shopping malls are evil, or the bank manager is going to foreclose on the little old lady's house and kick her out because she can't pay her bills. And And that's it. That's all you could do as a bank manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a thankless job.
Yeah.
They always had nice suits, though.
They did.
Yeah. Usually pinstripe.
I'm only thinking of 2 bank managers from movies. I'm thinking of the two movies that I'm thinking of: A Blank Check and Ghost.
What else do you need?
What else do you need?
Desert Island movies, man. That's, you're set.
Yeah.
Blank Check, written by Blake Snyder, who wrote the screenwriting manual, Save the Cat, which is the classic Hollywood screenwriting manual that is still the one that people refer to. Oh, right.
Interesting.
You ever heard of this? Or I don't expect everyone to know. This is I literally teach screenwriting.
Yeah, you might have told me about this. If I have heard of it, it would have been...
The Save the Cat premise is the idea that you introduce your hero doing something noble or helpful, like saving a cat, and the audience will be with them for the rest of the movie. So there's this book called Save the Cat. It's still what people do to this day.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you have a cat that's in trouble...
I noticed your cat looks a lot better.
Yeah, the medicine's working, I think. Yeah, she has been just randomly doing poos, just in places that she wouldn't normally do poos. So I don't know if that's a side effect of the medication. But, once that finishes up, she'll be fine. And if you feel like doing poos where you wouldn't normally do poos, as a little bit of a practical joke, why don't you
try it on your friends?
You didn't know I was setting you up for that, did you?
No, I knew it was coming, but I lost confidence when I realized what I was actually saying.
You can lead a horse to
poo.
You can lead a cat to kitty litter, but you cannot
make it poo there. It might, if it's on certain medication, poo wherever it deems fit.
Yeah. Do you want me to leave this in or cut this bit out?
Mate, it's like you are...
Double it?
You are in control.
Leave it in, double it? Yeah.
I trust you.
Mistake.
G'day, Dick Smith here. On Australia Day, some people use jingoistic patriotism to flog their products. Struth, I never do that. That's as wrong as a dead dingo's donga. Australia's best-selling sauce, peanut butter and spread are no longer Aussie-owned and ship profits overseas. They're no more Australian than this Szechuan spotted dick.
There's only one dick I'll be eating on Australia Day.
Chow down on my Aussie nuts, shake my Aussie sauce, spread my Aussie might, eat my yummy bush food cereals, spreads and beetroot. When you buy any Dick Smith food product, you support Aussie farmers on the land.
I love Dick.
And keep Aussie workers in jobs.
I love Dick.
And the taste is a beauty. Why else would thousands be trying to get here?
I love Mr. Dick's.
So don't be a drongo, a yobbo or a darrow. Be patriotic and buy Dick Smith foods this Australia Day and every day to give our kids a future.
Curiosity.